What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin Cash today. Shout out to the Dragon Riders and the House of the Dragon. Hit that like button, subscribe, and thank you all for being here. It is the 8th day of February, and here we are at about $535. 8 hours, 48 minutes left in the day. What's wild, you guys? What's wild is we're really not, like, we just haven't gone anywhere. Like, the rest of the market, understand, from this time here in December, or this time here in November or October, the rest of the market's down here. They're down here. Bitcoin Cash is up or in the same area at the very least. Like, it's outperforming everything so well. I really do want to see this move continue higher. I think that what we've seen so far is completely appropriate, completely adequate. It's exactly what we needed to see. Why did it do that? Hold on. I tried to click it and it wouldn't let me do it, and then I clicked it again and then it did it. Trading View, man, glitchy sometimes, but we love you, Trading View. We love you. Trading View's great, man. It's one of the best. You can use it for free. I pay for the premium because it's better. It's way better, by the way, but it's still great free. I used it for years for free. It was actually better back then. There was actually more stuff for free back then. But anyways, I digress. Like, you used to be able to use the ribbons for free. Now you have to use the premium if you want the ribbons. But anyways, 27.8. This is a totally suitable bounce. This is exactly at a minimum what I would have wanted to see. So this is good. This is good. I would like it if it continued going higher, though. We don't want the minimum. We're the Dragon Riders, baby. We're here for the horde of a mountain of gold. And then the village's gold, and then the kingdom's gold. We want all the gold. We want all of it. We don't just want the minimum. We're here for the maximum. And anything that is greater than 30% for me, that's good. That's good. And I think it's good for all of us. I know it sounds like an insignificant difference, but again, what we're paying attention to is the reaction from this level here. We found support once, twice, 3 times. Anytime that you find support on a line, if it's getting weaker and weaker reactions, that's a telltale sign that you're going to flop. You're going to die. It's going to go away very, very soon. But if you're getting stronger reactions, or at least not getting weaker reactions, that's a good thing. From a low to a high here, that was 30%. From a low to a high here on this initial bounce, low to high, that was 27%. So again, we're seeing something comparable. That's already good. It's not notably weaker. It's not like a 10% or a 15% move. A 15% bounce is great, but compared to this, it'd be terrible. So this is good. This is good. It would be better if it was greater than 30%, because if it is greater than 30%, we have the largest bounce we've seen with the most volume we've seen in like almost a year. That's compelling. At the very least, it's compelling. So I'd like to see this continue. Who cares what I'd like, though? Bitcoin Cash has its own agenda. Let's see what that is. 1 hour time frame here. We're moving sideways. We're being boring. Do you guys remember? Do you remember yesterday, whenever I was talking about the bull flag here, and I said, and we might break out of this bull flag, but beware, because oftentimes when you break a bull flag, you think you're breaking out, but really you're just forming another flag. I think I drew it just like that, literally. If it wasn't for Bitcoin Cash, it was for something else, but I swear it was for Bitcoin Cash, and well, that's exactly what we did. We're not in a bull flag. We're in a horizontal channel. P.S. This is not a bull flag. This is not a bull flag. This is not a bull flag. By the way, guys, it's not a bull flag. That's not a bull flag. That is a horizontal channel. And there's a difference. There's a reason why I made that a very specific thing to say continuously, so that I drilled it into your heads, hopefully, is that if it's a horizontal channel, it does not have the same measure move requirements as a bull flag. You don't take the low to high. You don't measure the flagpole and then measure it like a bull flag. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. It could work that way. It might work exactly like that. Maybe it's less robust. Maybe it's more robust. Maybe it's exactly the same length. That could happen. But that's not the point here. The main point is just for successful identification of trends. What we're doing here is we're doing a horizontal channel. You wouldn't use bull flag measure moves to do this. You would just consider, okay, here's the primary move. We're consolidating. The secondary move, or the third wave, right? 1 wave, 2 is consolidating, 3 would be up. The third wave typically is bigger than the first wave. That doesn't mean it has to be bigger, but again, the word typically is being used here. Typically, and we're on the 1 hour time frame, so there's room for error here. The smaller the time frame, the less likely things are. The more weird stuff happens, let's say. But still, the idea would remain the same, that this next leg up you started maybe from here, would likely be bigger than the first leg up. So this here would take us to 661. Understanding where we are in this count, 1, 2, 3, we can assume that we're going to see a bigger move. I would say that our next move up, thankfully, will probably take us above 661. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. That would be awesome. Why is that crazy? Because that would take us back above these highs. Guys, we're back in bull market breakout time at that point. I mean, man, that would be epic. That would be epic. That would be really cool to see. And again, the idea here would be not that we go to this line, but that we go above this line. We take this, I mean, from a high to a low. What, are we just going to rip all the way up to 783? Is that what's going to happen? I don't know. I don't know. I don't foresee that. Again, using other logic beyond just the 1, 2, 3, it is typical to see 1, 2, 3. Your third leg is bigger than your first leg. It's very typical to see that. Doesn't mean that it has to happen. If we're looking at this with the fibs, it actually doesn't really make a whole lot of sense that we'd see a bigger leg than leg 3, because what, we're just going to stop here? You typically don't rip through your golden ratio on the first attempt. Well, we're just going to blast through here. We don't typically blast through the golden ratio at the first attempt. Or if we do, we typically stop in this zone and we pull back to the golden ratio at least before going higher, if not all the way back down here before going higher. So there's some things that make sense for us to see a move that takes us above 660 from here, and there's stuff that makes sense for it to be a little bit more tame, maybe something more appropriately around like 570 to, let's say, 650 could be the area that we should expect. Let's look at the indicators. All I can say confidently, regardless of where we may or may not go, is that this is bullish. And if you're thinking, do we have an inverse head and shoulders pattern here? Maybe. The volume profile is all wrong. And if you thought the last measure move was crazy, I mean, that it would probably be about the same measure move. It'd be a little bit higher. But if we take this, the way that you'd measure this, if it was an inverse head and shoulders, you take the low to high, and instead of like a bull flag, you'd put it at the base of the pattern. Inverse head and shoulders, you put it at the neck break, which would be here. That would take you, instead of 660, you'd be at like 690. And maybe. I'm not opposed to that. I have no problem with that happening. And if it's a breakout move, it would probably happen very fast. We'd see something just like this happen to get us up there. And maybe it does. Maybe I should be more bullish. But in this environment where things are screwy with Bitcoin and the rest of the markets, I don't want to get my expectations or yours set too high and then us get crushed. So let's just address the fact, okay? First and foremost, it's not an inverse head and shoulders. It looks like one. It certainly looks like one from like here. It's got that shape, but the volume profile is all wrong. And volume profile matters. It definitely does. Let's use BCH USDT and just see, because if the volume profile is right on Binance, maybe you have a chance. No. It's like it's kind of right on Binance and Coinbase, kind of, but you have no volume over here on this shoulder, which normally, if it is an inverse head and shoulders, like if this is your left shoulder, head, right shoulder, the most volume would be over here. And then it would slowly decay. It's almost perfect, but you have no volume here. Volume in itself doesn't have to be perfect for it to work out. It could be an inverse head and shoulders, but I'm not going to call for it just because the volume's not perfect, personally. Nonetheless, we clearly do have an area of resistance. What did I say in the beginning? Do you guys remember? Do you remember? Here, let me flip it over so that we can hopefully make it a little more sense. You remember? When we find support at an area, and we're getting strong reactions, but then we're getting weaker reactions off that same area, typically you break through that zone. If we put the scale, it's inverted right now, if we put the scale back to normal, that would mean that we're going to break out to the upside. No matter how we skin it, inverse head and shoulders, bull flag, horizontal channel, whatever, it's all bullish. It all implies the upside. I think the proper way to analyze this would say we moved up, this is a phase 1, this is a phase 2 consolidation horizontal channel, and phase 3 should be bigger than phase 1. And again, the only issue that I have with that is that that kind of conflicts with this idea of my standard fib analysis. So one thing's going to lead us astray, one thing's going to lead us right. I'm going to go with the fibs. I think this idea that wave 3 will be bigger than wave 1 is a nice idea, and I would welcome it wholeheartedly, or anything higher, I'd welcome it wholeheartedly, but using the fibs, because that's my bread and butter personally, I'm going to go with calling for resistance at either 571 or 591. That's the minimum target, but I'm personally going to call for 620 to 650. Why am I calling for 620 to 650? Because again, there is a little symmetry there with this movement. It won't be bigger than this movement, but a little bit of symmetry there, so that's fine. And on top of that, when you interact with the 0.5 before you hit the golden ratio, this doesn't mean you will break through the golden ratio. Statistically speaking, you're most likely on your first attempt, right, from your low, you're most likely to find resistance at your golden ratio on your first attempt. But the times that you break through the golden ratio on your first attempt, which is not the statistical probability, but it does happen, the times that you do that, you typically do this kind of stuff. You typically do this kind of stuff. So this is where I would assume, if we were consolidating down, instead of here, we were consolidating down here, the golden ratio would be the obvious next target. No questions asked. But here, there's absolutely a chance for 620 to 650. With everything else that's in consideration here, I have little problem seeing that come to life. So I do think, here, 530, give it a week, we're going to be up $100, baby. That's what's going to happen. Dragon Rider's going to be back in the saddle riding the green dragon, bucking that red dragon off into the wind, into the distance there. 1 hour time frame, these indicators. The RSI does look bearish. It actually does look bearish here. Overall, it's volatile. Overall, I actually like it. I think overall it's kind of bullish, but just right here, a little bit bearish, right? That doesn't mean that you have to go all the way down, but typically, these trends again, that word typically, they end in the oversold zone. Getting oversold here doesn't mean that you have to go to zero. Look, you've got lower lows here, and you've just been moving, you've actually got higher lows in your price. Oh, so slightly higher lows. So do we find resistance here? Probably. We found resistance here once, twice before. Maybe we come back down, and then the next time we try, we can break out. We get this RSI to come down a little bit more, and then we've reset. Stochastics are at the overbought zone, perfect area to reset from. The MACD is the one thing on the 1 hour that makes me think we'd continue moving up. The stochastics, too, kind of look good. We could, the other thing, I guess, with the RSI is if we are finding resistance here, here, and here, and it's all one straight line down, this point was a single point. This point was a single point. Here, we're meandering a little bit. Might we break out? Might we not continue this trend? Might we break out? We can do that. We can do that. We've done it before. See if I can find an example. It's not common. Again, it's really not common at all, actually, but it does happen. Here, for example, you had lower lows, lower highs, and you broke out of it there. That happens. It could happen here. Whether it's today, if we were to break out of this to the upside, that would mean that we're breaking out today, which great. I'll take $600 today. I wouldn't be upset with that at all. But more likely, I would think sometime tomorrow, Monday, or even Tuesday. Okay? Between today and the next 2 days. Let's go. It's 48 hours. It's 2 days plus 12. 60 hours. Over the next 60 hours, Bitcoin Cash is at 530 now. I believe over the next 60 hours, we will be at least breaking out. Over the next 60 hours, we'll at least be breaking out, but I wouldn't be surprised if we were above $600 60 hours from now. That's the call. I like the MACD, but it's the 1 hour, so who cares? Let's move on to the 4 hour. The RSI here on the 4 hour is bearish, but you've got some bullish posturings going on. You went from a lower low, lower high with some blemishes, but basically a downward sloping trend. You don't like that, maybe it's more like this, whatever, however you need it to look to suit your eyeballs. But the main point is you can see the focus is shifted to the downside. The focus is definitely shifting again now, but to the upside it seems, right? You've got these higher lows, higher highs. So we can come down, but I think we're still in a positive kind of structure. Overall, it's bearish, but we're at a point where things might be turning again. Things might be shifting. With that being said, be open to the idea of finding resistance. And even be open to this. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but if I'm wrong and we break out of this to the downside, we could go to the 382 at 493. We could go down to 465, 457. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not my call. That's not what I'm calling for. But there's nothing wrong with that. Let's see. The MACD is crossing above the zero. That's really good. We're in this kind of choppy, sideways environment. I don't care about it as much. It is really good. It's nice to see. But to me, it doesn't mean much. I don't care. It would normally mean more, but choppy and sideways, it means less. It means less. It's unfortunate because it is a good sign. If we weren't so choppy and sideways, I'd be like, oh my god, you guys, we're definitely going to go up right now. But there's a chance that we could find resistance here. Being that the stochastics have been overbought too, again, that possibility of going lower is there. We could go below $500. Do not get your feelings hurt if we do go below $500. It's not the call. That's not what I'm calling for. Clearly, I'm calling for something $200 above that. But if that happens, we'll be there, fork and bib, ready to eat. Right? Daily time frame, double bottom. Double bottom, it's not bullish divergence, right? It's a slightly lower low, but double bottom nonetheless. Beautiful. Don't mess with the daily double bottom on the RSI. Don't mess with the daily double top on the RSI either. Stochastics are weird, but so is the price action, so we're not going to pay attention to that. The MACD is bearish, building bearish momentum. The last time that you had bearish momentum this bad on the histogram was over here, was at this point here. That was your low. That was your last low that you had for, from October until, really up until recently. You maintained that low. So you had very similar readings on the RSI back here. You had a double bottom in the RSI, but this one had bullish divergence. Here you don't have the bullish divergence, but you still have the double bottom. Very similar readings. The stochastics are a bit janky. Stochastics here look more like they did here. So again, I don't think we're going to see this. I don't think we're going to see like a sideways month. I really do believe we're going to get our freak on here pretty soon. We're probably going to see prices well above $600, I would think, in the next week. Within the next 60 hours. But within the next 60 hours, at least, breaking out to the upside, that's my expectation. If something different happens, I'll make a video explaining where we may go. But I've kind of already done that, right? I've kind of already done that. If we do go to the downside from a high to a low, we could go anywhere from 493 to 435, really. Most likely 465 to 480 would be the most likely outcome, because that's where Bitcoin Cash likes to go, as far as like its fibs. But I'm not calling for that. That's not the call. If it happens, cool. We're aware of it as a possibility. We're not thrown off. But the expectation here is we'll move up to something above $600. What was it? 630, 640? What was it? I'm sorry. 650. No, yeah, 650 to 620. Somewhere in that range. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. Very confident in Bitcoin Cash. Very pleased to see. On a monthly perspective, how many coins look like this? Bitcoin's monthly chart. Let's go. Let's see. It's decent. It's coming back, right? February's shaped up to close green at least. Others probably looks the same as that. It probably doesn't look too much different. Again, others, you guys, is the average altcoin. It's like our altcoin index. It's like the S&P 500, but for the top 125 altcoins, excluding the top 10. So it's comprised of 115 of our top 125 altcoins by market cap. It conglomerates all that market cap valuation. The average altcoin is down 6.8%. Bitcoin itself is down 9.9% this month. Bitcoin Cash is up 4.7%. I'm going to end the video after this, okay? Just understand, Bitcoin dominance this month has gone down. Really, since June of 2025, it's been going down. We've been in this kind of lull. If you're asking me, and I'm not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but if you're asking me, if I'm looking at this chart, if we didn't know this is Bitcoin dominance as any chart, I would say you look like you're about to fall off a cliff. You look like you're about to come down and find a higher low. That dominance is going to come down. You look at Bitcoin Cash dominance, it's the exact opposite. You've got a double bottom. You look like you're about to rally. That's crazy. That's crazy, you guys. If you don't understand why that's crazy, I'm not going to take the time to explain it to you, but that's freaking crazy. And it's very validating to anything and everything that the OG Dragon Riders, the Bitcoin Cash community, believes in. It validates so much, man. This is crazy. This chart, again, Bitcoin dominance looks like it's about to fall off a cliff. This thing looks like it's about to, look at the structure, bro. You've got the W, and it's the best kind of W because it's a W with an M in the middle of it. Those are the best kind of W's, man. You look at Bitcoin, right? Whether it's a W or an M, it's the best type, right? These are fierce patterns. Look, this is an M pattern, and you've got the little, I guess that one doesn't have the W. I'm sorry. I thought that's just an M. There's no W in there. Where where let's do this. Hold on, because I swear Bitcoin has one. Maybe I should just quit while I'm ahead. Kind of like here, right? You've got this W here, but there's an M shape down there at the bottom, right? That is an M shape there, but it's a W overall. Very powerful. I thought that there was like a W here. Maybe I need to do on a weekly time frame to see it. Let's see. Nope. It's just a classic M, no W in the middle there. Whatever though. I digress. That's not the point. This looks really good. That's what I was trying to end with. I mean, the thought I'm trying to promote there is Bitcoin Cash is gaining market cap dominance in the crypto space. What does that mean? What does that mean? Answer that question. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.